Hi, Amy. How
Hi,
are you? Good to
hi.
see you.
Love-
Yes.
Nice to see you.
Sorry, I was a couple minutes late there. We were hopping around from one thing to the next
Oh,
today. So, yeah,
morning.
good. We'll let some people hop on. And how are things in London?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just outside London, about an hour outside London right now. I was at my mum's house when lockdown happened. So actually, it's, kind of, it's been quite lucky for us with two small children because we've actually been quite near the countryside, and being able to have a little bit more, room to move with them around.
Yeah.
But we're heading back to London imminently.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
we're making that move very soon. So we're just kind of waiting for it to all happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of getting reports about from different people what the kind of feeling is down there. And a colleague of mine was cycling along Oxford Street today and saying how quiet it all was. And, we're only just kind of entertaining getting out of this lockdown in the next couple of years, next couple of
Yeah.
weeks.
And how did the kids do being with their grandparents for so long? Did they like that?
Yeah, they love it. Actually,
Yeah.
it's actually kind of made the experience quite, quite different, I think, to if we'd had been at home. I think this time with grandparents has been really special for them.
Yeah.
And amazing support. They've been so great helping us out, and because it's not easy homeschooling kind of, and trying to work and trying to kind of get your head around everything. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a massive support really, and I think the grandparents have really enjoyed it. They've tend
Yeah. I
I think
think
quiet, but
Yeah, this is that time that you say they'll never have that chance again to
yeah,
spend, 2 consecutive months with their grandparents. And I even feel my kids are older, one in college and one in high school. And
right.
even for them, I mean, when have we ever had dinner together almost every night? And so I think these are the things that we can definitely take out of the time.
Yeah.
And are the kids excited to go back home?
I mean, I definitely think they are in some ways ready to go back home. I think they're missing they're missing the familiarity of all of their things around them, and they're sharing a bed where we're here. And I think there comes a point where we all kind of need a little bit of our own space because
Yeah,
obviously everyone has experienced living in such greater proximity towards each other. So I
right.
definitely think there's some things that they'll look, they are kind of happy to get back to. But, you know, we are trying to manage because I think, even as adults, we have a bit of anxiety coming out of this, right, on the other side. And
Yes.
and so, I'm just being very cautious and careful because, of the children's anxieties as well, right? It's not it's, they're feeling things as well, and so we're just trying to really talk about it and share how we're feeling and trying to be really honest about it, and tell them that we don't have all the answers. And you know we're told in some ways that in some of the schools are going back on the 1st of June, but our school isn't. And so, but the information changes every day. So it's kind of knowing what to tell them and what to hold back and kind of whilst being as honest as possible.
Right. Yeah, that is hard.
Yeah.
And so then how have you managed it to, you've had then support from your parents, but how do you keep up on your regular work projects during this time? How has that been for you?
I mean, it definitely took some settling kind of down and getting used to. I think as a consultant and as a freelancer, you get quite used to being to working remotely quite often and to also working quite independently. So I guess in that respect, I didn't have, to adapt quite so much. Um, and I think, work definitely, like when the factory started closing and the mill started closing, there wasn't that kind of constant need to be developing or to be kind of, we weren't sending tech packs out every week, and
Right.
that, stopped. But that certainly gave me, and I know speaking to other people, time to then concentrate on other things that we don't normally get the time to do.
Right.
Uh, and I think it's part of the whole conversation we were having before about kind of resetting and taking the time and, um, really realizing what kind of you needed to what you needed to reassess. And, you know, I certainly kind of, all of us who are on planes a lot and constantly traveling, you just get into that rhythm and you don't ever stop, and you don't ever kind of, because you're like, I'm going to be back and then I've got to get on the next plane, and I'm preparing for that trip, and then when I'm on that trip, and sometimes I'd be preparing for another trip when I was on home from a trip, when I was on the flight home from another trip. And I think we, you know, it's been, I mean, it's been beneficial certainly to me in some ways, just to take a little bit of time. And, you know, I cleared up all of my files on my hard drives, and I put all of my drawing illustrations on one file so that when I am drawing again, you know, I can kind of go back to it easier. You know, so many things that had kind of been on my list of things to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, certainly with the not the pressure of kind of constant developing, we could definitely take the time to look at other things. And, you know, I think it was, you know, I'm kind of working on a few projects right now, and they all need different things. So, you know, I consult for Urban Europe and on their fabrics and wash developments, and that's really been a time to kind of consolidate on what our best fabrics are, what really works for us, you know, what are our stock levels looking like on those, how can we develop them further, like what sustainable fabrics can we kind of carry on working into, talking to the mills about like what their innovations are, what they're working on, and really, you know, really kind of getting ready and preparing for this kind of, what I'm considering the kind of June startup again.
Right, right. No, you're so true though in saying, you know, it was sort of this hamster wheel that we were all going on, and it was okay, we've got this show and that one, and you know, I'm going to be in Amsterdam in April, and then I'm going to be back and do this and that, and then we have our next capsule we're putting together, and then when it all just shut, and I remember canceling my last flight because it was a trip to LA that I was supposed to be taking. And I was just like, oh my God, what am I doing now? Because it totally redefines, you know, what your day is and where your thoughts are going. So it's interesting that you said you did a lot of cleaning up of your files. I did that too. I was like, why do I have all this junk in my inbox? And I think that that's been a really good thing that we've been able to do during this time. And as we've all been talking about what the reset is, and I'm kind of calling it the pandemic pause, that has allowed us to really do this. And when we look at it, it's like a once in a lifetime thing. And I think we got over the fear of what it was and the unknown of the virus to a point, and then could focus on some of the other things. But tell us a little bit about some of the other projects that you're working on. I know that you're part of the MacArthur denim redesign.
Yeah, actually, I've been creative director of a brand that I've been working on for like 10 months now, and we were due to launch on the 26th of March. So, bang! Like,
yeah.
And, you know, that was really tough in so many ways, because me and the team and, you know, we'd all put so much like time and energy and passion into it, and we're kind of really geared up to this launch, and, you know, we're really excited about it. And I think after the initial kind of realization that, you know, this was going to be, you know, not launching even kind of in a couple of weeks' time, that we were going to have to like really kind of wait. I think we took stock, and we kind of realized, okay, well, this just gives us time to kind of really focus on what our messaging is and how we're going to put that across, and how can we really, you know, how can we really be clear to our customer on what we're standing for. And one of the things that we were doing just before lockdown was in talks with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation on their Jeans Redesign initiative. And I think, you know, we definitely wanted to be a part of it. I think, you know, it's a really, you know, some incredible brands had already joined up, and it was really talking about everything that we had spent the last kind of 8 months working on. You know, the brand 17 Mochi it's a seasonless brand. We're taking it slowly. We are only making everything in really limited amounts, limited quantities. And it's all about, craftsmanship and kind of re-engaging with some of the lost craftsmen who have, who haven't been supported in their territories. And it's really trying to support women and working with charities, and also really trying to move denim into working in a much more circular way than I think has been the practice of the last few decades.
Yeah.
And joining Jeans Redesign really kind of married with what we'd been working with and working towards anyway. And so that was kind of something that we shored up during those first few weeks, and we're really excited to be a part of. And are kind of now really, wanting to engage with them on kind of the events that are going to come over the next few months, especially when things open up and if, the Copenhagen summit goes ahead, and really kind of keep on pushing ourselves. So we had already started working on being quite circular. So we've been using our dead stock, and we use our leftover pocketing for our wash care labels. And our dead stock fabrics go to a local charity, who make them into our denim bags, so we don't kind of ship anything.
Cool. Yeah.
And so
that's great.
That's really kind of, I mean, it's really been like the work of the last 6 months, but to kind of tie up exactly how we message all of that to the customer has really been the focus on my work kind of at home.
And what was the brand name again? So I didn't catch it either.
Oh, it's called 70 Mochi.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for writing that out. Yeah.
But it's in my it'll be in my Instagram anyway. So
okay, perfect.
But I think so. Signing up to the Jeans Redesign, I think they have started this conversation and they're getting it out there. And I think they have. At the moment, it is just guidelines, but it's important guidelines. It's kind of things that should just be a given, right? Jeans should stand up to 30. I mean, that one of their guidelines is jeans should stand up to 30 washes. Now, that might seem crazy to us because, of course, jeans should stand up to 30. Yeah. I mean, that was just kind of, jeans have been made to last for like 20 years, right?
Yeah.
But, would a 12-pound pair of jeans last 30 washes? Not necessarily. And I think that's a real problem in our industry. And I think setting these guidelines and some really incredible brands signing up to it, and now it's open to mills as well. I think if we can have these conversations about circularity, and it's a start, because we all know that we're not at the end road. There is no kind of end destination. This has just got to be ongoing, right?
Right. And so do you think because Lensing's also a part of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, we were in the first group because they just announced this, I think it might be even the third round of people who've joined. And I do think it's great in bringing the industry together, but do you think they're really ambitious enough in some of the criteria around the fabrics? I guess I'm very critical on the blends levels that they have. Do you think that and I know there was a lot of debate on it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were advised at the beginning by 40 different kind of experts from our industry and putting this together. And I think probably, does it go as far as it could at the moment? No, but I do think it is a good start. And I think engaging start. And I think they wanted to make it kind of accessible, because I think they wanted to make it kind of something that people could feel like they reached their targets and then they could carry on building on. Right. I don't think this is kind of, this is all you're ever going to need to do, right? I think we all know, like, it's kind of one step at a time. And I think this is a good step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I do think, maybe it definitely, I'm hoping for sure that they just keep on kind of building on it and other people build on it. And actually, I just literally read that, Zalando have signed up with the Federation, I can't remember the exact, it was the Sustainable Apparel Coalition. And they are, they've just announced new measures as well that all of their brands will need to sign up.
Okay.
Yeah, part of kind of new sustainable indicators and kind of, I know that they were trying to do a kind of like food labeling kind of,
Yeah.
so it'll be really interesting to see how that develops.
Yeah, that's a great collaboration to have. I thought with the redesign project, it was also very ambitious for some of the larger brands to commit to the volumes.
Yeah,
Because I think that that's definitely, something that they don't always want to commit to.
yeah,
And I felt that the first time they came out with an announcement, they did a great job with marketing. I remember there was a video and it's like someone walking in and then they walk back and they have like a different jean. And I thought that that was really great to get that out at the consumer level. And I hope that they plan to add more consumer marketing into it because I feel like that's the area that we really need to have the education
yeah,
and and that consumers need to start questioning, are my jeans going to last for 30 washes, 20 washes? And now we need to really look at what does value mean, and do we look at our clothes as cost per use instead of just saying, hey, it's fast fashion? And if these pair of jeans, they're basic and I can wear them and all of this, and I'm going to keep them for 10 years and wear them, once a month, great. Then that's that value. And I do see that they were trying to bring a lot in around durability, which wasn't really a word that I felt went back to what we or consumers associate with.
yeah.
But
But
I think again a good chance to get everyone together.
yeah, I agree. And we talked about this in our last kind of chat. That cost per wear is kind of, I feel like the consumers have completely forgotten in some kind of aspects. We buying something and expecting to wear it once or twice should not be the norm. I mean, it
Yeah.
shouldn't be allowed. I mean, I definitely believe that governments need to penalize companies that make this cheap fast fashion that just ends up in landfills. I mean, I definitely think regulation has got to start happening across government. And I think the Jeans Redesign, although it isn't kind of a government body, and it's I think it will help governments to recognize this, and it will help kind of having those conversations. I mean, that's my kind of aim anyway, and I think more brands will be joining, hopefully, when they open it up again. And I think, brands anyway will start really kind of questioning these like linear production methods that have been happening for a long time.
Yes. Yes. No, I think the time is right. And when I'm working with more brands, I'm hearing that they're developing more. And during this time, there has not been any stop on sustainability strategies.
Yeah.
And actually, that's where I would say I've had the most conversations the past 2 months is people are working on whether it's transparency or circularity. What else can they continue to do? And I think you're right. The government has to be involved and put some regulations. And I think just when we look at sustainability overall, it's wonderful to see that, like in Canada, they are tying back aid to companies on COVID back to their carbon emission goals. And they expect that if they're going to give any kind of support in Canada, that they have to set clear goals. And
Um,
I think this is what, we need to work more towards, and maybe
yeah,
companies who need support during this time to get out of any of their financial constraints that they've had over COVID, then how could that be tied back to some other sustainability program? So,
yeah, that's
um,
incredible. I mean, I do think Canada kind of sometimes is like leaders in this way. And I mean, I think definitely, I think lots of my colleagues and we were really disappointed that our government backed away from kind of tough regulation of our industry last year. Given its own reporting that more needed to be done. And I'm really hopeful that, coming out of this, when things have calmed down a bit, that they will revisit it. But pressure needs to come from people. And, we've talked about people with the way they spend their money, but choose the world they want to live in. And I think
yeah,
people do really need to think about. But it's hard, it's hard. It's definitely, we can see the appeal that cheap clothing can have but education needs to be there.
yeah,
But I think it's encouraging. I think, that is the kind of the young generations, I think they are kind of engaged in moving away from this fast fashion. I think, you know, they are interested in that reuse, resell, upcycle. You know,
Yeah.
I think everything around those areas of the industry are going to get stronger.
Yeah, I mean, do you think though there'll be any hesitation over, well, someone else was wearing it? Is it clean enough? Like, what kind of confidence are we going to have to give to consumers? Because everybody was, you know, rental, and I've done the rental, which I think is great. My daughter, who's actually in college, she's also done the rental, and just we kept experimenting. Like, do we like it?
Yeah.
But you know, are people going to have some hesitation that
Mm.
it's not clean now that we're kind of in this, you know, health and wellness? What do you think?
I mean, I think ASOS Marketplace announced today that their sales on their, like, that's the vintage section of their business, and that has seen tremendous growth during this period. Uh,
Really?
yeah, so that was announced today. On the other side of it, I think, you know, I'm a little bit concerned for, I mean, I used to, you know, my favorite kind of pastime was to be going through charity shops, right? And, you know, there's like some, yeah, it's like a secret which charity shop is kind of known for being like one of the better ones. And I think there are some concerns over those kind of that part of the industry when they open up again. And you know, I was reading an article that was saying that they're a little bit worried that people have had all of this time to kind of go through their wardrobes and sort them out, that they're going to get like inundated, and but
Yeah.
inundated with lots of bad stuff as well as kind of the
Yeah.
good. Uh, and I think, you know, people are going to be a little bit worried about when they are opening up, going back into, you know, charity shops, as they are all retail shops.
Yeah.
But online sales, I think, are not going to get affected. I think they are just going to get stronger. And I think people, I think it's going to be helped because it's really getting backed by, you know, there's so much now on places like channels like Instagram that are kind of giving tutorials on upscaling your denim. I mean, anything, but, you know, obviously I'm kind of looking at the denim especially. And it's, you know, how to upscale, how to tie dye, how to kind of, you know, cut and sew. And, you know, and there's like, it's incredibly innovative now. And I think that's really exciting. And I think, especially for the younger generation, I think they really engage with that.
Yeah, for sure. And when you talk about the younger generation, were you also involved in Ravensbourne?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
last year I went, Mawson invited me to judge the final show of the students. And he invited me this year, but actually I was in Pakistan at a denim factory at the time.
Okay.
So go. But last year, I mean, it was like one of my highlights of last year. It was such a joy. I think it was incredibly reassuring how engaged they were with sustainability. And I think that the teaching that is happening at Ravensbourne and other institutions on kind of on, you know, teaching them really like what it is about to kind of be mindful of the planet and kind of, you know, and really engaging with the mills to kind of use their better fabrics and their most sustainable fabrics. I mean, it was such an amazing experience, and the talent was incredible. I mean,
So
it
it
was.
gives you the reassurance of where we're going in the future, right?
I mean, it gives me reassurance for the younger generation, and I
Yeah.
think, you know, the institutions that are kind of really pushing this, I think, are incredible, and I think they're kind of setting the way. And I think, you know, we all need to be teaching our children, like, you know, more about this from a kind of, you know, even if it is just, you know, don't throw away. I mean, my kids won't let me throw away any plastic, and it's great. You know, they
Yeah.
are being taught at school like that, but I think we need to open that up into kind of, you know, clothing as well. And we need to like teach children the value of what we all have.
Yes. Yeah, I think that definitely textile recycling is something that's a little foreign, and how can we make it as easy as what it is to recycle glass and, you know, plastic and bottles, and making, whether it's community recycling, and I'm hearing of different cities in the United States that do take on textile recycling. New York City does make it a part of what their mission is too, and in recycling everything. Um, but I found that when I've been involved in different student programs, it's also, how do you make this simple for students to understand? And usually they start with organic cotton,
Yeah.
from a fiber standpoint, because I think they
Yeah.
get organic fruit and vegetables, and so they relate that back. But I've often thought, like, okay, everything that we know, and it's taken us years, and I'll go to conferences, and there's always more to learn. This
Yeah.
is such an evolving space around, environmental impacts. And how do we make it easy enough for students to understand?
Yeah. I mean, I think, Transformer Ed is doing, and the denim sector has done a really great job in that. But I actually think what we need to do is go back, is to kind of look at how the food industry has made that really clear. Because, it wasn't clear 20 years ago. I mean,
Right.
I was never brought up on organic food, right? I mean, some things were probably naturally organic, but I think, the food industry made that really, it was regulated, it was controlled. And I think, like things like a kind of clear labeling. I mean, can you imagine if we had on our clothes label, if we had a measure of how many microplastics would come out of that clothes, that one piece of clothing every time we washed it? I mean, for me, certainly, I would make a lot more of an informed choice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like that should just become a new standard. And that's just one aspect of it, right? Shedding microplastics from every time we wash a garment. It's being talked about now, but is it being talked about enough? And if we had a figure every time we washed our garment, knowing what was going into our water system, I think we would all really consider like the impact that what we're buying is making on our planet.
Right. No, for sure. I think that now that we can reach a point where we can calculate things, I mean, I think it'd be interesting if it was just like, your iPhone, if it could tell you those rings every day, of your exercise and your calories and how many steps. Could it be the same thing for water and, anything that you've thrown away, and how do we start to measure our individual impact and what kind of changes we can make?
Yeah.
And I see that Shirley's on here, and I just want to highlight there's a program that Shirley's involved in called Slow Fashion. And
Yes.
that's about making the commitment not to buy any clothes for 3 months starting June 1st. So that would be starting on Monday. And I think these are some of the challenges that are pretty interesting to take on during these times.
I mean,
So,
I saw your talk with Shirley, and actually, I had done that last summer as well. I did it for 8 weeks, and actually, it was a bet because my mother-in-law bet I couldn't do it.
so then you were definitely going to do it. Yeah.
So, like, I don't need to buy anything new, and she was like, "Really?" Amy?" And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm not purchasing anything new." And it was hard. Like, it was hard, and it was kind of, you know. I mean, I did have to buy a few things for the children where they're kind of like, growing out of things. But
Yeah.
for yourself, like, once I got that initial kind of like, oh, it was actually quite freeing because I
Yeah.
wasn't like trawling every single shopping app on my phone. And, it just was like a kind of like, if I still want it in 2 months, then I'll get it then,
Right.
it actually quite freeing and releasing. And you get to go into your wardrobe and dig a bit deeper and maybe go to that bag in the attic that you haven't really kind of thought about for a while. And it's definitely kind of a healthy exercise, I think.
I think it is too. And I think, if I take more time to clean out what I have rather than go buy new things, and that's what I think out of this time, and, who hasn't been cleaning out their closets for the past, couple of months.
Yeah.
So we'll see where all of that goes. And so what will be one of your first purchases now as you head back to London? What do you think you'll be buying?
Actually, I've kind of been on quite a limited wardrobe down here. So I'm actually kind of quite happy just to kind of get back into my wardrobe and kind of see what I've got. And I think, I think we all need to kind of think about different ways of, outfitting what we've got, right? I mean, I'm sure there's a million different ways we can put together what's already in our wardrobes. But I think in terms of purchasing, actually, I'm not kind of, I've wanted a couple of vintage things, but mainly because I've wanted to kind of try them out for dye arting, for kind of doing some tie dye and botanical dyeing. Um, but there's nothing I feel like the desperate need for, and I think that has come from these times because I think we've all reset our priorities. I
Yes.
so we have kind of all really had a chance to think about what's really important to us.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that I might not, buy something when I'm kind of out there and thinking about it. But
We won't hold you to that. Yes, we know. It's one of those challenges, but no,
um,
it's been so great to catch up today. We enjoyed having you on our women's discussion panel. We have another panel with our women's group on Tuesday, June 2nd. So that'll be our fourth panel discussion. It's just a variety of different questions, and we continue to evolve those. And I hope that you'll listen in on that for our next round of talks.
yeah, they've all been brilliant and so informative. And I think we're all realizing that, it's great to have something to, there's always something new to learn. And I think we're all kind of enjoying that during this time.
Yes, for sure. And how we've been able to connect globally, even through, just catching up on digital chats and all of that. So,
And, yeah, and having that community feel, right, that we all love, and especially in our industry, I think we kept it strong with all of these conversations.
yes, yes, we miss all of our shows, and hopefully you and I will be back on a plane at some time this fall.
Yes.
So anyway, and you can check out more of our videos and webinars that we've had on Blue Lens, which is our YouTube channel. And so I will sign off with our mini Tencel jean
Uh,
that makes its appearance on all of our little chats. And I wish you well, Amy, as you head home, and hope the kids enjoy being back with their own stuff and their toys again.
Great. Thank you, Tricia. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.